All right. Well, welcome everyone. We're excited to dive in. So let's get started and I'll pass things off to our presenters.
We'll go over who we all are. I'll start. I am Eric Lowe. I'm the tax product manager. The tax team, I guess, is in charge of all the year-end form products. So you'll have Eric Wells and myself here. Both, I like to think we're experts in it. I've been a product manager for going on 8 years now, roughly half of which has been with payroll or tax or finance in some form. And I've been at Greenshades about half a year now. I'll let Eric Wells introduce himself.
Hello, I'm the other Eric here. So Eric Wells, I'm the Director of Tax and Compliance. I've been with Greenshades for 8 years, been in the tax team that entire time. I actually came up as a development lead. I wrote a lot of the code for the product, very intimate with it. Gained a lot of tax compliance knowledge over the years. And I'll give it to John.
Hey, all afternoon. I guess maybe even good morning for some of y'all. My name is John Osberger, Director of Sales. Thanks for joining the webinar today. I recognize some of the names. I know I've had the opportunity to chat with y'all since I've joined Greenshades in January of 2020. As a Director of Sales, I actually do oversee the sales team responsible for our standalone tax solutions. So that'd be helpful for me to join. And yeah, thanks again for attending.
Awesome. I want to talk on the objective of today, just to set everything there. Our goal here is to address some of the most popular topics, questions, items, as well as tackle any of your pressing concerns about your year-end form filing. Pretty simple there. Before we jump fully in, as always, I want to have a little legal disclaimer. First and foremost, this content is not by any means formal legal advice. Always want to make sure that if you are encountering something that might be, or might need it, consult your local counsel as well as anything your organization has in terms of a legal and accounting team. Purpose of our presentation is just to provide high-level overview of the process and how we at Greenshades may be able to help. And also, Greenshades does partner with my HR counsel. As you can see down there at the bottom point, and this is a way for us to provide customers with affordable and online and on-demand legal advice. With that, we jump into the content. We have our first section here, which is your year-end form questions answered. I believe John is taking this one for us.
Yeah, so just real quick, just want to talk a little bit about the filing requirements. These are not new for 24 tax year. These were actually rolled out for the 23 tax year. We did want to remind folks, very important, obviously for compliance reasons, that the threshold for electronic filing has been reduced from 250 to 10. And that is not 10 per filing type. That's across a wide variety of filing types. So as an example, if you have 10 employees you need to send a W-2 out to, you've got to handle your W-2s, your 1099s, other filing types as well. If you've got 5 W-2 forms, 5 1099s, that's a quantity of 10, similar situation. So, basically, if you're at 10, need a file. If you're not quite sure, probably better to be safe than sorry, because there are a wide variety of filing types that are considered as part of this. Go ahead and electronically file. And at the state level, some of those states are employing some of those requirements as well. So please reach out to the applicable state agency if you have any questions about that, to make sure that you are filing in the proper compliant method.
Thanks for that. So yeah, just to expand a little bit on that last point, should be pretty obvious. More and more, everybody's going electronic. So if you're still filing not electronic for a lot of your forms, definitely a good idea to start doing those electronic as much as possible and get ahead of the game, or just be compliant. So I'm going to go over some IRS changes, specifically on the 1099K. This is the one a lot of people have been really interested in and really following the past few years. I don't want to use the word threaten, but the IRS has been claiming that they are going to lower the threshold for filing a 1099K down to $600 as the threshold. Right now, it's as of last year was $20,000. They kind of said they were going to do it for a couple of years, and at the last minute they said, no, we're not going to implement it this year. We're going to remain at that 20,000. They're finally moving forward with getting that threshold lowered officially, but they are doing it in steps. So for this year, the threshold is going down. That's going down to 5,000. Next year it'll be 2,500, and then they'll finally get to that 600 that they've been talking about. Anyone not familiar? So this is the third-party settlement organization. So think of like PayPal or gift cards. If you are dealing with those, if you are, paying people in some way, shape, or form through these kinds of methods, you had to pay or have an amount over 20,000 to report before. So a lot of people weren't impacted by this. As that threshold goes down, certainly more and more people are going to be impacted. So we are expecting quite a bit of an increase on our 1099Ks this year.
All right, so I do want to talk a little bit about deadlines for Greenshades submissions for distribution as well. Basically, it's two different categories. I wanted to talk about both because this does impact some of the clients on the webinar today, and also some of these are going to be filed right around the same time here in January. So for our clients that are using our tax solutions throughout the year, so state unemployment, state withholding, 941s, those monthly, quarterly returns, do need to make sure that those are submitted through Greenshades by 11 a.m. the day before the deadline. As far as the annual year-end forms, so W-2s, 1099s, 1095s, please make sure that those are submitted 2 days before the deadline. That is basically our way to guarantee that those are submitted on time and can meet those deadlines. If they are submitted after that, we'll do what we can to get those on time for you. We just can't guarantee that. There's also deadlines as far as distribution. I know a lot of the folks on the call probably use our print and mail services. We do have some deadlines for that, for the rates, but also as far as the guaranteed postmark of January 31st this year, it is January 24th. So if you're going to be using our print and mail services, just make sure you get those submissions in by the 24th of the month. Now, since we are talking print and mail here, I did want to clarify a couple things for new clients. We have two options. We have our box and ship, and then we have our print and mail, which we also refer to as direct. Box and ship, pretty straightforward. We will go ahead and get the forms in an envelope, get them in a box, send them to one of your specified locations for distributions. Typically, this option is great for personal distribution. For instance, employees at your office location, real easy to hand those off personally. We do understand that that's not a great fit if you have a lot of remote workers. If you have a lot of 1099s that you want to print, mail, and distribute, obviously it's not always convenient for everyone to do the box and ship option. So we do have the print, mail, direct. We will not only print out the forms, get an envelope, but we also stamp them and send them out directly to the recipients as well. So again, great fit for like 1099s. Also great fit for more and more organizations that are trying to get out of the paper business. We will gladly take that on for you. We do have the rates listed here. Did want to talk a little bit about the filing rates as well. Print and mail is optional, but when you do file, there are going to be a couple components that you would incur a couple costs. First is going to be what we call a filing fee. That is going to be for your federal filings. That's also going to be for state returns, local returns as well. Pretty straightforward, $385 per return. Now, if you do have some of our licensed payroll tax solutions, if you're using our payroll platform, those may include some of those returns. So you would not incur a filing fee. If you have any questions about that, about which of those apply to you, feel free to email us at sales@greenshades.com. On top of that, there is also going to be a cost of $1.25 per form that's uploaded with your filings as part of the year-end 2024 filing season.
Okay. Wanted to take a little bit of time and talk about SSN and TIN verification. Couple things on this subject. One is very important, and we highly encourage everyone to do SSN verification, TIN verifications. If you are submitting to the IRS or the SSA, This is a common reason for rejections or, needs for corrections. If you submit your W-2, a lot of your SSNs do not match up with the employees' names. You will get a rejection. It doesn't mean that W-2 didn't get submitted and everything, but it does mean that you have work afterwards and you have a time frame to get those corrections in. So it's always a good idea to do that as early as possible and to get this done. A big note on this is if you are running late, especially if if you're using Greenshades, we have this as one of our listed items of like, hey, you should do this before you file, but it is not required, and we certainly do not recommend anybody wait to file to get this done. If you're just running late and you'll see here that it takes a couple of days to turn around these verifications. We highly encourage you to still go ahead and file. That'll get you on time, avoid those penalties. That'll reset that clock so that you can get in those corrections later. We always want to avoid those penalties as much as possible. So if you are coming on and you are timely, it is still very good to note that this process does take us about 2 business days, 48 hours, about 2 business days. I think we list 3 business days on the website just for a little bit of leeway, because this is it's just not a very smooth process as far as like the timing of it. That previously, if you were with us a few years ago, this used to be a 24-hour turnaround. The IRS and the SSA both have kind of changed how this process worked for these very large bulk verifications. We kind of collect multiples throughout the day and then submit those a couple times a day in kind of large bulk files. And then the SSA and IRS process those, give us the results back. And that's why it just takes a little bit longer than it used to, because of the way they've changed that. So this is a free service through Greenshades. We also encourage, if you upload forms and you're like maybe correcting some employees, or you have some more forms to upload, go ahead and as soon as you upload, start a batch of these verifications. You can do as many as you need to. So if you load 100 forms, you send off a batch, and then tomorrow you load another 10 employees, you can send off that batch of 10. And those will incrementally come back too. So you'll get those 100 back in 2 days. You can start correcting those. You'll get those 10 back 2 days after you submit those. We don't charge for doing multiple batches, so use the service as needed. John, I'll let you talk a little bit about McCorma as well.
Yeah, we do. One of our partners in the ISV space, McCorma. Some of you actually might be using McCorma for other solutions today. They actually do have a TIN verification solution that will help you when not only onboarding new vendors, but also handle verifications beyond that throughout the year as well. So they actually have a tool that can provide some assistance and help streamline this process at the end of the year, because if you're handling this in verification during the year, with our service being optional, you're going to be in a good spot. You wouldn't really have to use our TIN verification. So I definitely recommend reaching out to them. One of the other things that they do kind of in the vendor world is they have OFAC verification. For those unfamiliar, they will be able to check the OFAC sanctions list. Basically, that sanctions list includes vendors you should not be doing business with, so they can help you out with that on that front as well. So if you have any questions, we've dropped the website on there as far as that TIN verification, that vendor validation. But you can also reach out to Greenshades, and we can get you connected with the McCorma folks as well.
So did want to take a minute here for our Excel templates. So again, some of you are familiar with this, some of you may be new. One of the larger ways, if you are a customer that is coming on just for our year-end product, how you get your data to us, there are a couple different ways, but for those clients, one of the most popular ways is to fill out our Excel templates. You'll download a template for each form type you're going to do, load up your data, import that, and then you'll be on our website from there once we have the data and working within our website. But this step is definitely, it's that first step, and especially as people are running late, running up to the deadline, this can be a source of a lot of stress for people. It's like, okay, I'm kind of running late. I'm near the deadline. I'm filling out this form. Oh, it didn't load. Now I'm in panic mode. So just a few kind of tips and tricks about these forms for those folks that'll be utilizing them. This is an example of our 1095 Excel template. You'll notice that each of the columns have that little icon in the top right. That means that there are notes on every single column. That'll give you an idea of what kind of data we're looking for, what this column is. We have some examples of what we're kind of expecting in there. We'll put if it's required or not. So great information there if you need help filling out those forms, especially on some of the more complicated ones like 1095. We also just kind of give some general instructions on that big yellow box. We also, one of the things we let you know is you do need to delete that yellow box. And that yellow box can show up on multiple sheets. So you want to make sure, even if you're not filling out one of the sheets, you want to make sure you go there and look at it. If that yellow box is there, delete that out. Pay attention to the fact that there may be multiple sheets on some of the forms. Some of the forms will only have the one sheet. Some will have multiple, so you definitely want to fill out all of the sheets as possible. And then the final piece is, these Excel templates, when they go to our importer, we're expecting very standard, kind of, this is what we gave you, this is what we want back. So some of the things that cause a lot of people issues is maybe they'll try to calculate a column and they'll put in a formula in there. Once that hits our system, it sees a formula and it says, hey, I'm expecting a value. I don't know what's going on. I broke. So, if you need to make a copy of this, if you need to work with some formulas, some formatting, things like that, do that over in a copy and then just do a copy and paste of values onto this form. So you don't have even that formatting and stuff. Sometimes formattings will change, it'll change the column type. For those of you, really good Excel, it's like, oh, this is supposed to be a number, or a text, it likes to see SSNs and go, oh, I see numbers. Let me treat it as a number. And then it cuts off those leading zeros. So those are the kinds of things, that'll happen. We also make sure you don't delete or move around the columns. Our machines are definitely expecting everything kind of in the order as we get it. So, may seem a little complicated, but it should make a lot of sense when you get in there. It's basically just, this is kind of how we're giving it to you. This is how we're expecting it back. It'll save a lot of time and frustration when you're getting to your end, especially if you're getting close to that deadline. We've got some great support people that'll definitely help you along the way, but love to get out these tips and tricks beforehand.
Awesome. I know we have a lot of questions coming up, so I'm going to breeze through our steps here, but I did want to make sure we cover them at a high level. First and foremost is Eric was just mentioning, we need the data, right? So depending on which situation you're in, whether you're only using the year-end forms or using some of the other packages, we have a variety of options there: sync portal, connector, generic SQL, or the template. That's first and foremost. Get that data in. Then company setup, employee identity verification. Always be sure to verify your totals and make sure that any other areas that may cause a rejection are accounted for and corrected. Any employee management that you may need to have, and then we're on to form distribution. So as long as everything is followed there, like Will said, it might be a little complicated, a little scary at first, but if we follow the instructions and everything, it'll be a lot of heartache saved.
And now for the most anticipated part, all the questions that you guys submitted beforehand. So an employee lives in a state besides his base work location. Can that employee file exempt to his base work location state? Example, employee lives in Mississippi, has state tax income, but works in Louisiana, has state tax income, and completes an exemption form for Louisiana state tax. As a result, he pays zero taxes to Louisiana, even though his yearly wages were from work performed in Louisiana. No wages were earned in Mississippi.
Yeah, so a couple things here. So this Great question, very detailed. I believe the person who had this question had several questions on this interaction of, hey, I have people that are living in one state, working in other states. Where do those taxes go? So, couple things on this one. Again, like, we need to be very careful about giving legal advice or, compliance like advice on this. But this specific kind of situation, I can kind of answer it in general, and I'll do that. Some of your other questions that were around this, we'll reach out to you afterwards. This is also a great reason to have a very good payroll system, because really this information should fall into your payroll system, and your payroll system should be able to figure these taxes as soon as it sees, oh, this employee just earned some amount. This employee, when they earned it, lived here. The earnings came from them working at this work site, which was out of state. Good payroll software will be able to kind of code that, figure it out, and give you your taxes. So generally on our tax product, when it comes to us, we are just looking at what the payroll system has already figured out and said, this is where it was withheld. But on this specific one, we did find, we said, yes, a resident of Mississippi is subject to Mississippi income tax on all of his or her wages, whether or not he or she works in Mississippi or another state. However, if the other state has an income tax, Mississippi residents will have to file a non-resident return in the other state and pay income taxes to the other state. The employer should withhold taxes for the other state's income, not income tax, not Mississippi. When the employee files Mississippi resident individual tax return, a credit for the taxes paid to the other state can be taken. So a lot there. You may not have been able to get it down. Again, we'll follow up with that answer and try to answer more of your questions. But again, that's a great just example of each. Even though that was like a great example of Louisiana, Mississippi. Every state to state can be different. Some states have what they call reciprocity, so it may change. That answer may change if we were talking about, now let's talk about Maryland and New Jersey. That may be a different situation. So taxes are very complicated.
Awesome. Thanks, Eric, for taking us through that. So we'll follow up with those other questions for you. So the next question, what's the correct format on the W-2 for the state taxes? And they provided some options here in the question.
Yeah, I think again, that one was really specific. So I think we can reach back out on that one. I don't think I have a good answer here on this call for that one. It was again kind of this whole like, hey, this person lives in this state, they work in this state. What exactly should I have on this person's W-2? So that's a little too specific for this question, but we will reach out.
Perfect. Thank you for that. When is the earliest could we upload sample 2024 W-2s to have them verified?
So kind of the more or less guaranteed is January 2nd. However, what we try to do is we do try to open up our W-2s a week before January. So that last week of December, we pretty much do everything we can to try to have them open then, so you can get in a little bit earlier. But we really are always pushing to have that January 2nd, everything live, ready to go.
When will the Greenshades year-end W-2s be available for processing, and when is the cutoff for mailing?
Yeah, same thing, a week before, hopefully they open, January 2nd, everything is definitely go live. Same thing for the mail service, that print and mail, that will be January 2nd. That will, even if we did open up a week earlier, we really kind of open up the mail service process that first business day of January. That's why I keep saying January 2nd, January 1st. We will be on vacation that day. So January 2nd, you can load your forms. You can immediately start printing mail, and our printers will be buzzing. So January 2nd on that. And then we did give that deadline. I believe it was the 24th. The 24th is going to be the deadline for the last day that you can get that print and mail and have it guaranteed postmark.
Perfect. Thank you for that. And we'll be sure to share out this deck in the recap so you'll see those dates again. Can Greenshades do 1099s and W-2s from QuickBooks data upload? One of our companies is going live in CMIC in 2025, but is wrapping up 2024 in QuickBooks.
Yeah, and the short answer is yes, we absolutely can support you. That Excel template that I showed, that would be your pathway if you're coming from QuickBooks. We do not have a direct QuickBooks integration. So you'll be able to get your data out of QuickBooks, fill out our Excel templates, import those in, and you will be good to go to use us for all of our functions once you do that. If you're joining CMIC, we do have integrations with CMIC, so you'll be even faster to get your data in the future.
Awesome. Thank you for that. With GP for payroll, how does the automated upload for payroll and 1099/1095 forms work?
John, do you have the answer for this? I kind of have an answer.
So, I mean, we have our connector between Greenshades and GP. It does work a little differently for 1095s and 1099s, and with 1099s, it was primarily driven by the change a few years ago to go back to the NEC. So that is dependent on version. So we do have a few options for those specific file types. With 1095s, I do want to qualify that, part of the, the value of the integration is basically creating the form sets based on the data in GP. We do find that some clients don't have all the data they need in GP to fully create those 1095 forms. So there's just something to keep in mind. In that case, we do have the Excel template option. And we also have some additional services that are available to help with building out the 1095 form set as well. So my best answer is yes, with an asterisk. It's really going to depend on version, which file types, and then also, we have some services to help as well. So we do have some flexibility with that. My recommendation is to reach out to us at sales, and we can chat with you and see what's going to be the best option for you.
Perfect. Thank you, John. And I see we're at time. So I do have the rest of the questions that you guys submitted, and I will be sure to have follow-up with you guys for those questions. I also see the few questions that have been dropped into the Q&A. So again, I'll be sure to follow up with those. We want to thank you guys for joining us today. If you would like to see a personalized demo or how the Greenshades Uniform solution works, we do have a webinar coming up next week where we'll have some insight to the Greenshades solution. We can also do a personalized demo for you guys if you want to reach out to sales. If you have any questions that you didn't have today that may arise during the process, please feel free to reach out to support and visit us online at greenshades.com. Thank you to our presenters today, and thank you guys for joining us.